Hey there, everyone. Good morning. Holy cow. Good morning. It is 11 o'clock, and it is now time for Tech Tuesday to begin. And I am Robert Vincent, and we are going to be talking today about DocuSign. It is the beginning of the month. It's March 1st. So we're going to be taking a look at DocuSign from pretty much the beginning and taking a look at it as an introduction to DocuSign. For those of you who have not used DocuSign at all, this is quite literally an introduction to the program. And DocuSign is your e-signing tool, your electronic signature tool for Keller Williams Command software. And we have two options. We have .loop and we have DocuSign. DocuSign is the one that we currently support the most, and it's the one that we currently provide training on. Some of you agents who have come from other agencies, or if you're an established agent, you might use .loop, and that's totally fine as well. We don't have specific training on .loop. We do focus on DocuSign here, so that's what this class is going to be focused on. If you are a brand new agent and you've never used any e-signing tools before, this is going to be an introduction to that tool so you understand what it is, how to use it, and how it integrates with Keller Williams Command, our CRM or customer resource management or contact resource management tool that we use to manage your opportunities, your business pipeline. So, with that being said and out of the way, welcome. Glad to have you here with me. For those of you who are watching on Zoom, I'm going to switch over the screen here so that you don't see me in two places. You're going to see me in one. There we go. So we have the screen there showing what I'm logged into currently is Command. And for those of you on Facebook and also on YouTube, we're live in three places right now. If you're on the Zoom room with me, welcome. And I see David is with me here. Thank you for joining me, David. We have a couple of people right now, a few people on Zoom or on Facebook, and we do have a couple of people that are actually watching on YouTube, which is great. So if you're not familiar with that, we have the Facebook channel, the Facebook groups channel, which some of you are watching, but we also have the Zoom channel, or the YouTube channel. There's a lot going on here. The YouTube channel, which is our KW Tech Tube. Com. And I'm going to show you the links to that at the end of the day. So if you missed any part of this video and you want to watch this is obviously we're doing it live now. If you missed any part of this, you can always go to techtube.com at the end of this, and you can watch it in a replay form. Okay, so let's get started by talking about DocuSign. Now, you notice that I am logged into Command right now. I'm not logged into DocuSign. And I'm going to start here because we integrate so deeply with DocuSign that it makes sense to start here, and then we'll go and take a look at DocuSign. So the first thing that we need to do, and there are tools available to help you do this, and there is inside of our learning management system, our LMS at kwclmtraining.com. All of this material is available to you, and if you need access to that, or if you want to gain access to that, you can go to kwclmtraining.com and create an account with your KW email. So it needs to be an @KW email, and you can create a free account there. It's all free. And then you can view or search for DocuSign setup or DocuSign, and there's tons of the information in there. But I'm going to show you the setup process, generally speaking, because mine is already set up. So I'm not going to set it up again, but I will show you some of the things that you'll need to do to make sure that DocuSign functions. And that is inside of Command, you're going to go up to your profile icon in the top right-hand corner, and you're going to come down here to Settings. And in the Settings area, when you load that up, one of the things that we're going to see here is all of the integrations, all of the different types of tools that can be integrated into Command. Now, yours might look a little different depending on what integrations you have installed. If you haven't done any, it's going to look pretty similar to this. Yours may not say that you're connected to DocuSign yet, but you will see DocuSign here as one of the potentials, and it'll say Connect DocuSign. This little step right here to just check to see if you're even connected or if you need to be connected will help you just understand how we put this all together. When you are setting up your system, if you have not sat down with me and had a one-on-one tech setup meeting, which takes about an hour, and I go through this and I set up your DocuSign, I set up your email, your Gmail, your calendars, all your signature stuff. I set up everything for you. If you haven't done that, please reach out to me at command@kwclm.com, and we can get you set up on that the tech setup. Even if you have already set it up, if you're having issues or if you're looking to get more completely set up, if you haven't spoken with me about this, reach on out to me and let's get you on the calendar. You can always book time with me at timewithrobert.com. Lots of things I'm kicking out there right now, I know for you. But there's a lot of information available. And I'll show you all of these links at the end of the training. So once we have set up DocuSign, which we are going to skip in this video here, we're going to skip that. Once we have set it up, we know that we have DocuSign installed in command. And that means, by the way, that you have a DocuSign account. Do not go to DocuSign and create your account there. Don't do that. Do it through command. And if you need assistance, I can do that with you. So if you do see the word connect account here, do that through command, not through DocuSign. But now that we know that DocuSign is in fact connected and we are good to go there, we're going to take a look at now how to access DocuSign and the basic functionality of that program. Now you might think, well, Robert, are we going to go up here to the address bar and put in a new DocuSign address here? And let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you some things that are going to happen. So first of all, if I type in DocuSign.com, DocuSign, D-O-C-U, there we go, DocuSign.com. Look where it takes me. It takes me to literally DocuSign.com. And when you go to this home page, you have to log in. So up in the top right-hand corner, if you've already created an account, you would go to the login. But I want to show you something about this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click log in. Now I have a DocuSign account and it is connected not only to my command software, but it's also connected to my KWCLM, which is the market center's email, KWCLM, Coastal Lakes and Mountains. This is connected to me. So when I click in to log in, I'm going to go ahead and log into DocuSign. Now, what you see here, though, is not the DocuSign that we're going to be using for real estate transactions. DocuSign is actually two major programs. One is this. This is DocuSign e-signature. And if you go to DocuSign.com and you log in even with your KW email, if you do that in that order, you're going to end up here. And this is DocuSign e-signature. This is not the same as what we were looking at when we were looking here in DocuSign, the integration tool to command. DocuSign e-signature is a standalone program that anybody, regardless of real estate, can use to sign their documents. So you already have this, by the way, if you've created a DocuSign real estate account. But to understand the two different things, these are actually separated by like a pretty much a brick wall between these two programs. Now, there is some information that passes between them, but this is e-signature. This is not where you want to be to sign your documents for your command opportunities and transactions. Now, I will put a little caveat on there. DocuSign e-signature is used as part of the process of what we call in-person signing. However, that is not something that we're going to be covering today, and it's something that involves a little bit of finagling. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a tidbit, a little heads up. I spoke with Texas last week. We always we meet once a week with the folks down in the incredibly wonderful people down in Texas. And I was speaking with one of the reps that we deal with, and she was telling me that DocuSign is working on integrating in-person signing into the rooms side of DocuSign so that you don't have to jump back and forth. They're trying to make it easier. And that excites me because the process for in-person signing using DocuSign Rooms and DocuSign e-signature is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But getting back to the DocuSign e-signature, we don't typically use this on a day-to-day basis for our real estate transactions because this is not where all the real estate-centric tools are. They are in DocuSign Rooms. So you can switch between your different sides of the account. This is not two different accounts. This is two different applications that DocuSign has. So to switch from e-signature to Rooms, you can use this button here on your profile on the top right, and you can switch to Rooms. So the reason I'm starting here is a lot of people make the mistake of going to DocuSign, logging in, and then wondering why they can't see their transactions. And that's because you're on the e-signature side if you log into DocuSign. We want to be in Rooms. To make this entire thing easier, I'm going to go ahead and just kill that tab with DocuSign, get rid of it. And we're going to talk about how to access DocuSign Rooms from command. So without having to go through all that rigmarole of jumping around. So to do that, we are going to talk about a transaction. And in command, when we talk about a transaction, we're talking about an opportunity. And an opportunity in command is the documentation process for each transaction that you intend to get paid on, and each transaction that is a real estate transaction, a unit, or a property. So with that knowledge, we have to start at the very beginning. And to start at the beginning, we have to think about who this transaction is going to be for. And all transactions in DocuSign, without question, without debate, are centered on the contact. So when we go into the contacts area of command, the contact is the root of everything in command. And because we're talking about that, keep in mind that the Command 101 class is at 11 o'clock today. Oh, I'm sorry, at 1 o'clock today. And I will discuss that. We'll be discussing how important contacts are. So we always start our transactions that are going to be in DocuSign, we start them here. So we start at the contacts area. And if necessary, we can come over to the right-hand side and click Add Contact and add as much information that we have about that contact. And then we can create a transaction for that contact. If we already have a contact in here and we want to access that contact, we can just search for that person and we can find the person who is going to be the contact for the opportunity in our list. And so that's what I've done here. I typed in Jackie Astuto and I click on her name and it brings me to her contact information. So here's a little bit of bonus for you. You'll notice that my contact has a health score of 100%. Beat that. 100%. That means that I have 100% of the tools available in command are at my disposal because now I have the information about this contact to use those tools. I have 100% capacity with this contact. That means that I can go over to my opportunities area from the contact, click on opportunities here on the right, and then I can create a new opportunity for this contact. And you see here that I have 23 opportunities for this contact. So I've done a lot of business with this person. And this is historical data. So this is all the transactions that I've ever created for this contact. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. Now remember, this is all part of DocuSign, all part of getting into DocuSign, because the information about the contact is going to be transferred to DocuSign. The information about how to reach them, about how to call them, all of that information is going to be transferred to DocuSign. So if this is right, half your work is already done when you create your DocuSign room. So we'll start here with opportunities and we'll create opportunity. It already loaded up my client name here in the client name field. And now I can check the opportunity type for a listing, buying, landlord, or tenant. And I'm always doing a listing. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a buyer this time, only just to change it up a little bit. Now, now, I'm going to have to go back because there's some things I want to show you about how DocuSign works. So I'm going to choose listing. Listing is one of the more robust ones that fills out information in advance for us. That's why I do this. So now that I've selected opportunity type listing, you'll see that in the opportunity name, it actually loads up two things for me. I didn't even have to type this information in here to start. And that is the who, Jackie Astuto, the what, listing. It's a listing opportunity. And all I need is the where. And the where is a super duper important part of the opportunity because everything that's in that box right now is going to become the name of the room in DocuSign. So it's going to make the room in DocuSign based on that name, which means compliance will be able to find it. You will be able to find it. There's consistency throughout the entire transaction. You will be able to manage this opportunity better with those three pieces of information: the who, the what, and the where. Those three things are absolutely critical, and I will go as far as to say that's required. Make your opportunity names, the who, the what, the where, just like that. Now I'm going to come down here to commission rate. I'll go ahead and put a 3% commission rate. I'm also going to put in here the estimated listing price, and I'll say that this is going to be a $1.5 million home. The reason I'm doing that is because so much of the information that we input in the first stages of this opportunity is going to be inside of DocuSign for us to use as we build the DocuSign process. All of that is going to be added to DocuSign, including me and the property information. The property information is going to be added to DocuSign as well, and you'll see how in a moment. I'll go ahead and click create on this to create this brand new opportunity. And here we are, March 1st. It shows me the most recent one here. And here is that opportunity. So I'll click on the opportunity from still within the contact, and it takes me to the opportunity page. Now on the opportunity page, we have several tabs. We have details, profile. We're going to get to the documents in a moment. So that's where we're going to set up the DocuSign transaction. But before we set up the transaction, we need to make sure that we've completed the additional information in command so that DocuSign can get that information and put it onto the contracts. So that is, in the case of a listing, if the MLS is already active and live, then you want to click this button, select from listings, to get that MLS from the listing. Get that listing from the MLS. If the listing is not live, but you have the property address, then you want to come down here into the property area and click the pencil icon and just add the property. But if you do that, make sure that you come back after the property has gone live and you replace this information here with the actual listing, because there's more information in the listing than there is in just a general property address. And that information will update in DocuSign. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and pull it as if it was already live and as a listing. So when I do that, I can come in here to my search box and I can find that listing and click on select. Now that went pretty quick. So keep in mind that this is now showing me that listing for that property, and it's not the real listing because I'm just using one that exists in the MLS. It's an old listing. But this here information will pass over to DocuSign to make my life a little bit easier. All right. So far, we did a contact, we did an opportunity, and we've added the listing to the opportunity, and now we're ready to go to DocuSign. So we go to the Documents tab in Command, and we're going to pick a checklist type for the type of property and the type of opportunity. So it is a New Hampshire property. We're doing a listing, so we need to know what documents are going to go into that type of an opportunity. So we select our listing checklist and we begin. Okay, so all of this time, it's 18 minutes past, and what we've talked about so far is getting to DocuSign. Now, I've talked a lot about this, but the actual process here takes about a minute and a half. This minute and a half that I've just done the actual work without yammering on is going to set you up for perfection in DocuSign if you let it. If you do anything different from what I've shown you here, you're going to be doing extra work over and over and over. And I can't stand to have you do that. I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to increase the possibility for errors in the information. We want to make this as easy as possible. So much so that when we finally get this ready to go here, we can see that there are certain documents. Kelly Goss has her hand up. First of all, when you turn on your camera, young lady, you know what I'm gonna expect to see on that camera, right?
Yes, I know what you expect.
Yeah, yeah. So show me my puppy.
All right,
Where's my puppy? Oh, what a doll. What a cutie pie.
He's asleep right now. Thank goodness.
What's your question, Kelly?
So I was, I think it goes back a little bit. Where you put in next to Jackie's name and you put in the where. Can you edit that after?
Oh yeah, great question. So let's go back to the details tab. After the
Thank you.
opportunity was created, when we did the opportunity create dialog box, we did the who, the what, and the where, and that became the opportunity name here. It also became the opportunity name at the top of the screen. And in any case, if you were doing, for example, a buyer opportunity, you wouldn't have the address at the moment you were creating the opportunity itself in command because you don't necessarily have a property yet. So this would be blank. To edit the name or to edit any of the information about the opportunity, on the details tab within the opportunity, there's a pencil icon right above the general information here. And when you click that, it opens up a dialog box where you can change the name, you can change the information and all that. Keep in mind, though, that if you have already created the opportunity in DocuSign, the room in DocuSign, not all of the information that you edit here will update in DocuSign. So you may have to go to DocuSign and edit the name, or you may have to edit certain elements. So while a lot of information does synchronize to DocuSign, much of that does it on the first time. So it passes the information to DocuSign, and then it doesn't necessarily update it from every change.
Okay.
Having
Does
said
it
that,
also,
go
does it
ahead.
also, does it also bring over, because like if you have two, so I have a husband and wife, you know, they're the listing, they're the sellers. I'm noticing that it's not bringing over the other person's information as well. And I
Okay,
maybe, sorry.
wonderful. These are really, really good questions, and thank you for asking them. So when we're editing the opportunity here, we also see that we have the contact name, who is the primary signer on the documents that we're about to send out. But we also have the option to add a co-seller and a co-buyer and a co-leasing and all that. So we have the option here. So we can actually search for another person here and add someone else. Now, when we do this, this information will synchronize across. So if I add John Morgan, now keep in mind, in this case here, the first person in my database, Jackie Studo, is here. She was already in the database. So was John Morgan. John Morgan is in my database. That co-signer or co-seller, I should say, in this particular type of opportunity needs to be in your database. And you need to make sure you have up-to-date contact information in order for it to pass to DocuSign. So you can have in DocuSign two, a primary and a secondary, but not 3 or 4. If you need to have that many people, go ahead.
So are you saying, Robert, that they need to, so if I put a husband and wife together under the same contact, if I add them as the spouse, that's when it won't carry over. You should always put them in separately. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Okay. You are asking some fantastic questions. First of all, let me go ahead and close this window to show you what it looks like when we have the two people. We have the contact name and the co-seller. So you've asked a question that comes up, and I think it's time to set the record straight. So I'm going to come back to the contacts area. I'm going to go all the way back to contacts. And on this contact page, I want to talk about when you initially create a contact. So when we click the add contact box, we have the full name field. So if we put Robert and Michelle Vincent, how many people is that?
It's 2.
What does it say above the names?
1.
It says full name.
Name. Yeah,
This
1.
this person, Robert and Michelle Vincent, doesn't exist. And neither does the address as a name of a person. Neither does an LLC. Neither does a trust. None of that exists as a person. So we always want to remember that this is a person's name, not people, not things, not places, not businesses. So the reason it's so important is because as far as DocuSign is concerned, this is the primary signer, and it will think that the name will need to read Robert and Michelle Vincent. If we didn't change this and we went into DocuSign and we went all the way through to the envelope process and pulled in this person, then in seller number 1, when they go to sign it, they're going to click the sign button and it's going to say Robert and Michelle Vincent. And that's not a signature. So
You add it as a relationship under the contact too.
Add it as a relationship. When you add
when
it
you
as a
do that-
relationship, go ahead.
That doesn't, but when you do that, so that's how I have my contact set up. It's not carrying them over. Like it's
It's
not,
the creation of the contact does not automatically determine that they'll be added to the contract.
so
So
it's it better just to create their own contact information separately and pull them in that way?
yes. So so if we know that we have, in the case of Jackie Astudo, you saw me that I brought over John Morgan. So if I go to the opportunities here, and again, I got Jackie Astudo, and by the way, down at the very bottom, John Morgan is listed, okay, as the relationship to that person. So when I go to create the opportunity, by default, it puts her name in because it doesn't make the assumption that it's going to be both of them. However, on the co-seller side, I can add John Morgan, and it knows who John Morgan is. If I type it in right, it knows who it is. And now I can add that person to the opportunity here. Now, Kelly, one of the things that happen um, is that Command used to, when you put a client in here and that client had a relationship, when you, even if you didn't type anything in this box, as soon as you clicked in there, it would offer up the related contacts and say, oh, are you talking about John Morgan? Because John's associated. They changed that. They dropped that feature because too many people were clicking on the related person and they were picking the wrong person. And that means that, for example, we have Jackie, her daughter, her son, her her uncle. They're all in my database, and her spouse. And so they were picking the wrong one. It was too easy to pick the wrong person. So they made it so that you have to actually type it in here and pick the person. It's a very good question. And if we do it here, John Morgan, and we select John Morgan now at the creation of the opportunity, and I'll go ahead and come down here and say that this is going to be a listing, and I'm going to put it down here with John so that you can see the different, it'll be just a different looking opportunity. So when I create this now with that co-seller, and I see here's the one that I just created, and I open that opportunity, you can see that it says Jackie Studio listing with John. That's the name of the opportunity. Here's the co-seller information. And when I create the DocuSign room, it's going to pull all of John Morgan and all of Jackie's information across. Good questions. Okay, so let's come back to when we're in the. I'll go back to the original one for today. We'll come back to the one for Main Street and Epping. So we've already filled out the details area. Oh, by the way, here's Jackie and John now. So we have the first one. We have the second person, and we have the listing information. So we've got everything that we need to create the opportunity in DocuSign. So now that we're ready to go to DocuSign, we go to the Documents tab. And on the Documents tab, we're going to click on Start a Transaction. So it's so important for this step to be slowed down, and people miss this all the time. We do not leave Command and go to DocuSign to create the transaction, because if we did, then those two objects, the DocuSign room and the Command opportunity, are disconnected. They are not linked together. We want the transaction in DocuSign to be linked to the transaction in Command. And the only way to do it is to click the Start a Transaction button from within Command to actually create the room for the documents from here. Any other way, and the room is not connected. All right. So when we click on this Start a Transaction and we choose DocuSign, that's going to initiate the link. It's going to create the relationship between DocuSign and Command. It's going to create the room in Command with all of the information from DocuSign and the primary documents that we need that are required documents are going to be pulled over. So the brokerage relationship, the exclusive listing agreement, all of those documents are going to pull over automatically, and they're going to preload into the room for us. And here they are. So this set of documents has automatically been added to the room. Now, we finally made it to DocuSign, and this class is about DocuSign. So now that we've established the fundamentals of creating a transaction, creating a room in DocuSign, let's recap what they are. You create the contact, or at least go to the existing contact. You make sure all of the information about the contacting command is correct. You go to the Opportunities tab of the contact, not the Opportunities applet in Command. You go to the Opportunities tab and you click Create Opportunity. You fill out as much information as you can, including the who, what, and the where as the opportunity name. And then you create the opportunity itself. Once you've created that, you now go to the Details tab, fill out any additional information that you need, that you have, add the property, whether it be a property that is not in the MLS or a property that is in the MLS. And once that's done, you go to the Documents tab, pull your checklist so DocuSign and so Command knows what type of checklist you're going to be using for that opportunity, and then start a transaction, and you end up here. I know that sounds like a lot. Trust me, I hear all the time agents, especially agents who use dot loop. Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I will push back until the end of time that the process that I've just described to you will save you time. Once you do it a few times and you understand what you're doing and you understand the steps and you follow them exactly like I've outlined, this process becomes lightning fast because all of the data that you need has been transferred. All of the goodness, all of the information. To prove that, I'm going to go to the Details tab of the DocuSign room. And in the Details area, we have all of the information that came across from Command, including the name of the opportunity, who created the MLS ID, the address, the Rockingham County, all the stuff from the MLS came over, all of the year built, all that stuff, including seller 1, full information, all the contact information. Seller number 2, in this case, John Morgan, her partner. And then we also have the listing agent information, me, all my stuff came over. Those are the primary pieces of information that are all done because we did it in Command and we got it all ready to go. That means that any of the information that's on the Details tab here in DocuSign, any document that references any of that information will pre-populate with that information. So for example, if I go to the property disclosure form, the property disclosure form is already loaded up here. And I just click on that property disclosure form to view that form. And I haven't touched it yet. You saw that I haven't done anything here. Look at this. Property disclosure form. Jackie Astuto, John Morgan, 123 Main Street, Epping, New Hampshire. All of that information has been loaded in. And all of the information that they need to sign, property location again, all that is all ready to go. And it's all pre-populated. On each of the pages for the property disclosure, I won't have to redo that. All of the additional comments area here, that has the location. Everything's in there. The only thing I need to do now is get this into their hands to have them sign it. All right. So take a look at the exclusive listing agreement. Let's take a look at that one. Why not? All the Details tab information from the DocuSign room, which came from Command. There's all the goodness. Keller Williams, the agency, me, Jackie Studo, the pricing that I had placed in there for the optional. Now remember, that was an estimate, but we can change that if we needed to. All this goodness, all of it came across. Okay. It will save you time and it will make your life very, very easy. So with that being said, let's take one more thing here and start to look at what DocuSign can do for you. So when we logged into DocuSign the first time, when we didn't enter the room, we ended up on a dashboard. We ended up here. And that's what you recall when I first came into DocuSign. That was not the specific transaction. That's just a dashboard. This dashboard is going to show you your recently viewed rooms, any new rooms that have been created, and your signing activity down here. Some of the documents that have recently been signed. And you have the option to view all. So you can see your history right here. Regardless of what transaction it is, you can see what's going on. And so, for example, if you're Jackie's in-person signing, this was a different transaction from a different day on 2/22. If I want to view that transaction, I just click on that, and it's going to take me to the right room, the right envelope, to the actual spot where Jackie signed, and there is the document she signed. It's pretty cool that we can use this dashboard to access the most recent information. Now, that's really useful if we're not focused on one single transaction. If we're focused on a transaction, the easiest way to get to that transaction is from Command, from the Documents tab of that transaction, and click this button. It used to say Start a Transaction, and it now says Go to Transaction. The reason I like this so much is because when you click this, I can guarantee you that you will not be going to the wrong transaction, the wrong room to deal with anything for that particular client, that particular opportunity. And that's an important thing to remember is finding things is sometimes the hardest thing. Like, where did I put that? Where is that document? What room is it in? Well, if you're using command and you use the documents tab of the opportunity as your launching point to get to DocuSign, then you will never be in the wrong room. I think that just full stop. You will never be in the wrong room if you've done all the steps that I've given you here. So now that we're in this transaction, we are presented with the Documents tab. We talked about the Details tab, and all of the information that's on these documents right now is populated by information on the Details tab. So that's really good news. And this applies for any new documents that we add to this DocuSign room. So the room is the main focus of DocuSign. That transaction, think of it as, the folder, the file cabinet that has all the stuff that you need. DocuSign is going to hold this information, assuming indefinitely. We're talking about a transactional history here. DocuSign is observed internationally and legally. I'm gonna back off the word internationally. I'll scratch that. I don't know, but it is recognized in the U.S. as a legal signature tool, and in doing so, I can guarantee you that they're working hard to make sure that this information will always be available. Sure, there might be a day with an internet issue, but that's not what we're talking about. So that means that you can safely and feel confident in knowing that using this tool to store your documents and having access to them outside of command, inside of command, throughout the life of the transaction and beyond is a good thing. So let's talk about this organization of this file cabinet for this transaction. We're gonna use the term loosely, but we're gonna call it permanent. We're gonna call it permanent because now we have a place for all documents to go. Not only do we have a place for all documents to go, but we also have a place where we can get documents that are the legal, up-to-date documents that we need for any given transaction. And what I mean by that is we loaded up these 6 documents, and it was magical because when we were in command, there were several documents with this little green DS here, indicating that when we created the room, these documents were automatically added to that room for the signature process. And there's the proof. 6 documents were added. Now, these 6 documents are from the DocuSign Forms library. And the Forms library is where we store all of the legal documents for Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains and for the Association of Realtors, NHAR. To get to that library, to get new documents, new forms to fill out, we click the Add button from the Documents tab of the room. So we're in Rooms, we're in a specific room, and we are on the Documents tab, and we can come over here to click Add. When we do that, we're presented with 5 options. These 5 options allow you different sources where to find your documents. The number one easiest is your computer, to upload a document from your computer. So you can click this and you'll get the browse option. The browse option will open up and say, where's that document, where you want to get it from. You just click on it and you can upload it. So this is pretty easy to use. Now, that's number 1. Number 2 is DocuSign Forms. This is the DocuSign library. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. We're going to take a look at the other. Actually, you know what? Let's do that last because we're going to spend most of our time there. We'll come down here to say, all right, Google Drive. So I can open up Google Drive and I can log into my Google Drive account and I can then access documents or anything on my Google Drive account and transfer them here. I can also use Dropbox. So if you use Dropbox, which I do use Dropbox, you can log into your Dropbox account and you can connect it here so that you can get documents from your Dropbox. But the official source is 2 for your documents that are legal forms, not just documents, but forms. And they are zip forms if you're in Maine or Massachusetts, you can use Zip Forms. You can use your Zip Forms account and you can connect it directly to DocuSign. What's nice about Zip Forms is that you don't have to open Zip Forms. So if you use a connected Zip Forms account, you will pull the most recent legal documents from Zip Forms across into DocuSign, and then you can have your people, your customers sign via DocuSign. So all you're doing, if you're using Zip Forms through DocuSign, is using it as a library. You're using it to get the forms. You're not using it for any other purpose, and that's awesome because it doesn't require you to go into Zip Forms and do all the work and do that. So it's actually a very, very straightforward process. The other library is the DocuSign Forms library, and that's what we're going to look at now. So when we click on the DocuSign Forms library, we're presented with several options on where inside of that library, it's just like sections of a library. So you walk into a library and you're like, excuse me, where's the reference? Oh, well, that's over here. Excuse me, where is the forms that I need for the Keller Williams Market Center 463? Oh, that's right here. The KW463NH forms are available to you. You can pull any of those forms from this library right here. Thank you very much. So I need the New Hampshire forms right here, sir. New Hampshire forms. I sound really ridiculous at this point talking to myself as if I'm a librarian. Now, when we choose each of these libraries, we're presented with the most up-to-date versions of any of these forms. And this quite simply means, you guys, if you are not using the library, we can't guarantee that the document or the form that you're using is the most current state required version. This is why it's so important to pull your documents and your forms from these libraries and not download them to your desktop and reuse PDFs over and over and over, because none of these objects, these form objects, they don't download as forms. They download as flat PDFs. All of the fillable fields in here, they're not fillable if you download them. So you need to use the forms. So that begs the question, what is a form versus a PDF? Well, a form from these libraries, whether they be a zip form library, an NHAR library, a 463 library, or any of those are fillable objects that DocuSign knows where the information is supposed to go. And we saw that it preloaded the information in the case of the DocuSign room, automatically adding documents and then pre-filling them with the information that it had. This does not happen with PDFs. DocuSign doesn't know what's on a PDF. It knows what's on a form because it's built that way. But a PDF, it just sees it as just a blank white piece of paper. It doesn't care what's on it. And you have to put all those fields on there. And that is an absolute waste of time. To do that is just crazy. Use the forms, let the system do the work for you. And then if necessary, and I know some of you are thinking this, Robert, well, what if I need to change the information? Fine. Change the information, but let it pre-fill as much as it can and let it do its job for you. Forms know where people are supposed to sign. The details area knows who those people are. Jackie Astuto, John Morgan. So when we use DocuSign forms, we know where they're supposed to sign and we know who's supposed to sign. And we can use these pre-tagged roles to merge those two things together so that when we create the envelope, we know who, we know where, and we know what, and we just send it all out and it's automatically happening. PDFs don't work like that. So DocuSign forms, you get them from your library. You can also have some groups here where we've kind of put together little packets of information. Now these may not exactly match your needs, but in these little groups, these little packets, there are a bunch of the predetermined forms for different types. New Hampshire buyer template, New Hampshire listing template, Keller Williams coastal lakes and mountains documents that you need. If these little groups, these little packets don't work for you, you can go into the libraries and get the individual forms and make your own packet. Okay. So these little guys right here are the libraries. Those are the groups or packets, and you can grab what you need. Now I already have 6 documents in here. As a matter of fact, you see here the NH listing residential template 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's already showing me all 6 of the documents they've already been added, and it shows that they're in use. And I can't add them again because they're in use. You don't have 2 of them in here. So this is great. It makes it easy for me to know that the documents that I need are ready to go. So that's what's happening at the documents level inside of the DocuSign room. Now, each of these documents, as I said, is pre-filled as according to what's on the Details tab. But you can adjust the information by clicking on any one of these documents, going into it, and editing that information. And when you do that, what you end up with is if we modify, let's say, for example, here I've got 123 Main Street. I'm going to put in here Unit 2. All right. Maybe it wasn't on the original paperwork when I put it together, but it's like, oh shoot, I need to add Unit 2 here. Great, fine. Let's go ahead and add Unit 2. Here's what you need to know. Because we've modified the data that's being referenced, that means we're changing the data. So if I change that to Unit 2 and I save and close, when I do that, this is updating the address information everywhere in DocuSign. So I'll take, that was the property disclosure. If I come over here to the exclusive listing agreement now, watch what happens in the exclusive listing agreement to the address. It's going to update with Unit 2, and here it is, Unit 2, across that document. So any changes to any of the fillable fields on a DocuSign form will populate across all documents that reference that same information. As a matter of fact, it went as far as to replace the information in the details area for the property. And here it is. Under the address line, it now says 123 Main Street, Unit 2. So think about this. You could edit the information here on this screen by clicking the edit button and update the information here. And this information will update any form that references that updated information. You can update a form in the room. Once it's been brought in here, you can update a form anywhere on any place where you fill this form out, and it will update all the forms that reference it, and it will update it in the details page. Why is that cool? Because now you know that you only have to make one change to propagate throughout the whole system. That's awesome. That's fantastic news. There are some advanced things to think about. The what ifs, the whatabouts. I'm not going to get into them right now, and I'm certainly not going to offer solutions because this is an introduction to this program. But there are the whatabouts and the what ifs, and you could ask them all day long, and I can give you solutions on how to handle those what ifs. All right. Know this though, that the primary base function is to keep it simple for you so that if you change it one place, it changes everywhere. We can do things with that, but we know that that's how it's supposed to work, which means that once we verify the details page, once we are satisfied with the information about the person, the seller 1, seller 2 in this case, once we're satisfied with all that information, we know that it's going to populate on all of the documents correctly. And once we know that, we can go through any individual documents where we need to make adjustments as far as like as the agent to fill things out. We can go through any and all of these documents, fill out the information as an agent, and know that that information will update. And then we can take those documents and send them out into an envelope. So I do want to talk about something that gets misunderstood. And let's take, for example, the property disclosure, which is actually the best one to give you this little scenario. Jen Vashon, our managing broker, does classes on how these documents are to be filled out. She does a Back to Basics class on Friday at 1 p.m. at kellertv.com. There's Ask the Broker on Mondays at 1 p.m. There's the contract classes, which are going on right now, specifically the New Hampshire class is going on right now. These classes talk about these different documents. They talk about all of the different contracts documents that you have. And one of the themes that comes up here is this little line right here, to be completed by seller on the property disclosure residential only form. And I'm only looking at this one form right now. Too often agents think that they need to fill out this information on the page. And you'll notice that there's no boxes like there are for the address. There's no, I can't click, I can click in the address ones here, but I'm not able to click into any of these things here. And the reason that that's the case is because you're not supposed to fill it out. You as the agent are not the person who's supposed to fill this out. How we know that? It says at the very top of the page to be completed by seller. So if you encounter, I'm going to boil this all down to a very simple statement. If you encounter a document where you find yourself thinking, well, I should fill this out, ask yourself if you really should. Check with the broker to find out if you really should. Don't ask me. Ask the broker on Fridays at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. Should I fill this out? Am I the right person to do this? And if that's the case, then we have some tools that we can make that happen. But I don't like to show you how to override things that you're not supposed to do right out of the gate, because technically we want to make sure that you only fill out what you need to fill out. This is designed for the person filling it out. And Kelly, I see you there, and I have a feeling I know what you're going to ask, but I'm going to finish this out, and then we'll see what your question is. No, I got you. So be sure to understand that just because you can't fill it out here, A, doesn't mean you can't, and B, it probably means you shouldn't. So if you're wondering why that's happening, that's because this area is not supposed to be done. So there are some tricks with that. Kelly, what you got?
That's a New Hampshire form. And
Yes.
just in case anybody's listening that's Maine, it's totally opposite. So
It's totally opposite.
yeah, in Maine, we fill them out.
Okay.
And we are
That
fillable.
is fantastic. Okay, so let's be clear about that statement, because the concept here is that if the form allows you to fill it out, then you can fill it out. In the case of the main forms, then you will be able to fill that out here because you're supposed to do it. To be clear also, this DocuSign form here is a New Hampshire form, and I'm referencing literally what it says and what Jen Vachon, our broker, talks about. In the case of a main form, you would not be accessing a main form. I'll go ahead and save and close this. You would not be accessing a main form from that area that we showed you here when you click add and choose DocuSign forms. All of the main forms are in zip forms. Okay.
They are. And that's why I thought it was important to say that about because I know a lot of agents will save them in their computer and they'll pull them up, but it's really better to get them from where they come from than because if you do work both sides, and I'm sure it's because I've done it, I do a lot more transactions in Maine, and I started filling out stuff, and it was for a transaction in New Hampshire, and I was like, oh, so now I have to do it all over again. And it wasn't until I got to that form that I was like, I shouldn't be filling this out.
Yep.
So it's a good idea to get them from where they come from instead of just downloading them from a PDF from your computer.
So true. Thank you for bringing that up. For you people who are in Maine, you will be using zip forms, because this zip forms is the proper authorized location for Maine forms. Good piece of information for you to know is that if you pull that property disclosure form for Maine, it's a different form, number one. And because you're pulling it through zip forms, the fillable fields will match what you as a Maine agent will be required to fill out prior to sending it for signature. So this is the beauty of the system, is it's all thought out so that the people that are in Maine selling homes have the right forms with the right fillable fields using zip forms, and the ones that are in New Hampshire have the right forms with the right fillable fields, or in the case of the property disclosure, they're not allowed to fill them out because of the state. And we control that to protect you. And it's important to note that that's a protection tool, because as Kelly said, some people will download the documents, get them in any way that they can, and then start putting stuff on these documents because, it's the easy way to do it. I do not claim or represent anything with legality, which is why I always say, if you have doubts, ask the brokers. Reach out to Jennifer or reach out to Jason Westcott and get your questions answered, because the worst phone call you want to get is from one of them saying, we need to talk about what you just did on a document, because that's not the phone call you want to receive. So reach out to them and let these tools, because they, by the way, they're in here all the time. The brokers know exactly what these forms are doing because they're the ones that are making sure that they stay legal. So if it doesn't allow you to fill it out or it allows you to fill it out, there's a reason. So follow those guidelines. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up here a little bit. I gave you the basic introduction here. I did not walk through the envelope process because I just wanted to introduce you to this primary set of information. Next week, we're going to be taking a look again at forms and the difference between PDFs and form fields. And we're going to talk about envelopes briefly because the third week of the month, we go deep into envelopes. And I'm going to give you every bit of information about envelopes you could possibly imagine. So next week is we're going to dive into the forms and we're going to dive into understanding more about what we can do with organization, more we can do with about where to get them, how to get them, and how to use them. And then the third week we talk about the envelopes, and in the fourth week we talk about advanced features, setups, and things like that. So I hope you guys got some good stuff. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me today, and my little buddy, what's his name again?
His name is Whit.
Wit. I keep on saying, wanting to say Wyatt because we have a Wyatt across the street. So
He's Whit, and he's not so little, just so you know, Robert.
he was tiny 2 weeks ago.
He's not ever been tiny. He came to us. He came to us at like 18 pounds, and he just went to his first puppy visit with us at 10 weeks old, and he weighs 25 pounds. He's a moose. He's a moose.
Oh, Kelly, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me.
I'll let you know the next time I'll be in Portsmouth. Maybe so you can see him. I had a class yesterday, but I couldn't bring him because I didn't want him to. He's too little right now. He might have been disrupted for a class.
You're killing me. You're killing me. That face is killing me. I have, I have a soft spot for black dogs. So
I know. He's so far. I shouldn't say. I'm not supposed to say. Billy would be sad if he heard me say, but so far he's my favorite. I know Billy would be like, "What?" I mean, I love my Billy, but this guy's he's already got my whole heart. I have a question for you. I don't know if you have time in between anything today. I have a question about my Twilio account, and I didn't know. I'm going to do your campaigns class this afternoon, and I don't know if you'll cover that in there, but because
you know what, come into that and ask it because Alana's going to be joining me, and between the two of us, we'll get you answered. But okay, in between the ones, I've got other meetings, so I won't have time in between. But come to the 3 o'clock.
Perfect. I will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and close this out by giving you guys the contact information for me here. You can always reach out to me at command@kwclm.com. And that is my main email address here. You can always visit the YouTube channel at kwtechtube.com to see all of the different videos that we recorded in this live one as well. You can also visit timewithrobert.com if you want to book any time on my calendar. I'd love to have you on the calendar so we can talk in person for about 30 minutes and discuss whatever you need to learn. We also have the I skipped my part here. The KW Tech TV, which is this Zoom room that we're in right now, which is where we hold all the trainings. You can always look on the Facebook feed to see all the trainings in order if you want to watch them there on Facebook, and that is facebook.com/MCTT463. And then, of course, the final one is our learning management system, our LMS, and that is at kwclmtraining.com. Join us over there, create your free account with your KW email, and there's no subscription. There is nothing. It's for you here at the Market Center. It's part of what we offer, and there's tons of training over there. New stuff being added all the time. Love to have you guys come on over there and check it out. So that's it. Going to be it for me for now. It's 12 o'clock. We got about an hour. And then in an hour, we're going to be going into the Command 101 series where we're going to be talking about the program as a whole with all the different applets. And at 3 o'clock today, we've got a marketing special for you. It's March Madness. March Marketing Madness. And we're going to have Alana Babineau joining me at 3 p.m. And we're going to be discussing designs and campaigns in Command. And I'm being very specific about that because it's going to be an interesting class to learn what designs go with what kind of campaigns. It's going to be cool. It's the first time we've done this one, and I'm excited about it. So that's going to be it there. Hope you have an awesome day if I don't get a chance to speak with you throughout the day, but otherwise we'll see you for some of the other ones there, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Take care.